He's just finished a 5-week national tour in Manitoba, Saskatchewan, Alberta, British Columbia, and 6 stops around the province of Ontario, including Toronto's Massey Hall. His latest album is called Dear Jane, which he started writing and recording before COVID, but couldn't finish until after the pandemic had done its worst. There's definitely a story there, so let's get into it with Devin Cuddy. Devin, it's great to have you in that chair. How are you?
I'm very well. How are you?
Excellent. Just great. I want to start with where that introduction left off. What happened to your songwriting abilities during COVID, which started just about 5 years ago?
I sort of realized that being alone at home was not a great source of inspiration for me. I think a lot of songwriters were able to sort of woodshed themselves, lock the door and do that. But I realized that I draw a lot of inspiration from doing the job of being a musician, traveling, meeting people, hearing people's stories, whether they're interesting or not. And so there was a little, I guess, writer's block as a result of that.
Did you worry that you were not going to get it back?
Yeah, of course. A little bit. I mean, I think because of the whole, what was sort of going on in the whole world, that you felt you're in some suspended state anyway. So it came out in small pieces eventually.
How did that happen?
With the aid of television. I was watching, for the one song that I got out of it that was usable, I was watching MASH, and I sort of powering through it as quickly as I could. And, you know, you use those stories to draw inspiration from television and film and stuff like that. That was sort of what drew me back out of it until we could go out into the world again and experience.
How did watching a TV show that's 4 decades in the rearview mirror about a war in Korea, which is funny, how did that help you find your your voice to write again?
I was thinking about some of the themes, and one of them was the song Dear Jane, so it was about Dear Jane and Dear John letters. And those are letters from the home front to service members on the front saying that their spouse is leaving them while they're serving the country, so happy thoughts. But, and I don't know, it just started coming out, and I sat at the piano and wrote it. It's not about MASH necessarily, but you take things that you hear or see or are part of the storylines and sort of expand on that. Songwriting is like that in a lot of ways in general, things that you experience in life, and so.
I can't think of a better segue to hearing this song, Dear Jane.
I feel like I set it up.
You absolutely did, and it was all accidental, but well done. Would you mind favoring us with
Absolutely.
Dear Jane right now?
Sure.
And you normally play this on the keyboard.
I normally play everything on the piano, so this will be different.
You got a beautiful guitar there with you, so.
I do. I on my very early days, I wrote a lot of songs on guitar, but I haven't been doing that so much.
Here's
So
Dear Jane.
Let's do it.
Oh, dear Jane, I hope you get this note. Wish we could do this on the phone. There's a line through every word I wrote. Tries to say I feel alone. I know you went out there to do your part. When you left, I should have known. Now here's what I should have said from the start. I won't be there when you get home. Oh, dear Jane, it's true, I loved you so. But it's been so long since that time. Not that I don't love you anymore. Just I'm moving down the line. Oh, dear Jane, I know that you've been brave. I can't imagine what you've seen. They just keep coming wave after wave. Then go back to where they've been. Oh, dear Jane, you'll find somebody new. You never like to be outshone. But when this war it is all done and through, I won't be there when you get home. No, I won't be there when you get home. Oh, dear Jane, farewell for now.
Oh, Devin, that's beautiful. Well done.
Thank you.
Well done. I have so many questions emerging from that. First of all, I think you've already answered this, but let's just confirm. Jane is not a specific person that you're speaking to here, is she?
Well, yes and no. I think in my mind, I was just using that Dear Jane as sort of the name of the type of letter, but I think it became the name of the person that is being written to,
And
just through the structure.
do you want to tell us who that is?
It's not anybody, really. I mean, I don't, you know, again, it was sort of birthed out of MASH, so maybe it's Hot Lips Houlihan, I don't know.
I suspect probably not, but okay. Another question. I mean, there's a lyric in there about, you know, sorry, I'm not going to be in touch anymore because I'm moving down the line. Mm-hmm. Certainly makes it sound like she's quite disposable and he's about to move on to his next conquest. Is that what you meant to imply?
No, not necessarily. I think it's just a sort of an old cowboy line, moving on down the line. So I'm not sure that I meant it to carry too much weight. It was just sort of just one of those lines that every songwriter wants to say who likes country music at some point.
Right. When you speak, you have this very soft, raspy voice. But when you sing, and I'm a meter away from you here, you really boom, you really project. Do you know that you do those two things very differently?
I have been told by many sound people that that is the case. I was never a traditionally trained singer, so I've spent a lot of time developing it on my own. I did piano through all of the traditional sort of avenues, went to university for it and everything. So I just sort of taught myself, and singing loud makes it a little easier to hit the notes for me. So
Got it.
survival.
Do you know that when you sing, your eyes are closed almost all the time?
I do. I find the world to be distracting when I'm singing, and especially at shows, you'll start looking at things and you lose your way, and it has happened to me enough times that I close my eyes. I also find it easier to hear and focus on the sounds that you're making. So it is, again, just a habit that I developed. And yeah, some people want me to open my eyes, but I will lose my way. Sometimes you gotta look at your hands, though. That is the one thing that you do.
Yeah, I know. You're obviously not looking at to make sure your fingers are in the right place on the strings.
Practice, I guess.
You know that. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. You know, I don't have to tell you this. Taylor Swift's made a very good living putting her kishkas out there on the table for everybody to see. Do you, how revealing of your own whatever's in your heart do you want your music to be?
Yeah, that's something you think about a lot, I think, as an artist, especially if you sing too much and too obviously about the people around you, then people can get hurt or upset. I wrote a lot from the third person right at the beginning, when I started songwriting. It was the way that I wanted to write. It was also a style that I was interested in. And my very favorite songwriter, whose name is Randy Newman, writes a lot in the third person and speaks about capturing the voice of somebody else and the challenge of that as a songwriter. And I was always intrigued by that. Over the years, small things from my life have snuck in to the songs, but I generally don't write as myself.
Randy Newman is an interesting choice because Randy Newman, how do I put this delicately, does not have a good voice. You have a good voice. Why would he be your inspiration?
I love his piano playing and his songwriting, especially stuff like from the pre-movie days.
Short People?
That one's not bad. I played that one in the past. You get some looks when you play that song. Well, he's got a lot of songs like that. But yeah, of that era. And I was very drawn to the third person thing. And I think he has an amazing ability to write something very sweet and very tender, and then the following track is hilarious and silly. And I've always admired that. And obviously as a piano player, he drew from a lot of classical and stuff like that. And that was my interest growing up, jazz and things like that, and turning that into more mainstream country rock stuff.
Okay, that maybe helps answer the next question, which was how you characterize your sound, because it's not quite New Orleans, and it's not quite country.
Yeah,
but all that's in there.
I know. Well, we've been told we're allowed to use this term roots, which is an incredible umbrella term that you can just describe anything that draws from. But country blues, country rock, like where, I don't know, Hank Williams and Ray Charles crossover, wherever that is.
Nice.
That's the angle I try to run.
Now, apologies for the obvious question here, which I suspect you've had before, but you grew up in Jim Cuddy's home.
I did.
Greg Keeler, his Blue Rodeo pal, produced one of your albums. So I have to assume that there's a significant amount of influence of those two guys in your work. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, even if it was not on purpose, there would be the soundtrack of my life, and every music that I discovered and stuff that I liked is from the CD collection at the time that my dad had, and I was obviously exposed to lots of great music and inspired by them and their friends, and I grew up in a really very cool environment, and it was pretty natural to want to follow in that footsteps and fall into that world.
When Justin Trudeau was your age, he got a lot of questions about the advantages and disadvantages of having Trudeau as a last name. So I guess I want to ask you the same kind of question, which is, are there advantages and disadvantages to having Cuddy as a last name?
Well, there's an endless well of advantages for sure. I haven't really found any barriers or problems. I mean, anything to do with being the son of, I'm completely fine with. I mean, that would be such an uphill battle if you were fighting against it. And so we do a lot of playing together, and I have had nothing but doors open as a result of it, and I'm very grateful and very lucky to have that.
Well, one of the doors that opened was the last time I saw you perform, and that was Massey Hall, where you had a lot of friends and a lot of family there. When I asked you after the show what you thought about the experience of playing Massey Hall, which is obviously one of the finest places in this country to play, you kind of turned white as a ghost for a second there. I would have thought it would be an unambiguously good thing. Do you remember what you told me?
I am a little worried now, but no, I don't.
Well, you said something like the fact, I look out in the audience, I see all my friends and family, and I'm a bit petrified that I'm going to screw up. You know.
Oh, yeah. Hometown shows are always nerve-wracking, and a hometown show at something as hallowed as the Massey Hall is the full experience. But it's always exciting to be in that place. And I love watching shows, and obviously playing is a privilege at that place. But hometown shows are funny, especially when you're doing a tour. You get into a routine of things, and there are very seldom are there a lot of people that you know around. And then the hometown show happens, and everybody is there, which is great, but it's very different. It shakes your routine a bit. And then obviously you see your family and everybody in the audience, and it's like, it's nerve-wracking.
Well, you were on stage for some of it with your dad.
That's why I close my eyes.
Yeah, I can understand. You're on stage for some of it with your dad, but your mom was in the audience. And I know everybody asks you what the influence of your father. I want to find out. Your mom is an actress. I'd like to find out what her influence was on your performing abilities.
Well, I'm not an overly theatrical person, so I'm not sure I got that from her, but, you know,
I'm going to disagree with you.
She raised us.
I'm going to disagree with you. Do you see your... No, you don't, because your eyes are closed. You should see how expressive your face is when you sing. That's a performance skill. And, I know, okay, maybe you got some of it from your dad, but I'm willing to bet...
Oh, for sure.
You got a lot of it from your mom, too.
I'm sure that is very much from my mother. I mean, you know, we used to run lines with her and we were very involved in her life, so she's a big part of everything that I do.
Well, speaking about on stage with your dad, here is you. It's kind of funny to watch you grow up in public, you know? Because this, we're going to show a clip of you 12 years ago on stage with Blue Rodeo, and you look and sound a little bit different. And I want to talk about that when we come back. Sheldon, if you would, let's roll that clip.
I used to think I knew what I was fighting for. No, I don't think that anymore.
And Greg Keeler says at the end of that piece, he says, that song has never sounded so good as it did that day in that show. What's the biggest difference between that guy and the guy I saw in Massey Hall last month?
Well, you develop a confidence on stage for sure that comes with time and experience. And, you know, I was probably pretty green back then. As I was just saying, same hair, but younger face, right?
How about in the voice? Different voice?
You know, I have sometimes a hard time analyzing, listening to yourself. But yes, I would assume my voice is stronger now, or I hope.
It's
that's
stronger
true.
and richer, and there's more sandpaper there.
Yeah, I was definitely, I mean, that would have been, either I would have just made my first record or just before it. So I was new to it. I've done a lot of stage hours since then.
Let me ask you, just finally, you know, defining success in your business is hard because so few participants get to experience it, right? It is a very tough road that you are going on. So let me just ask you directly, what will constitute for you a successful career in music?
Well, for me and many musicians, it's sort of the only thing that you can and want to do. And you need to, performing is something that you feel you need to do in order to feel alive in many ways. So for me, success is just being able to do it as a job. Make just enough money to live and not have another job. And I love to travel, so traveling is, I would consider that to be success. And there's an amazing thrill when you look out in a crowd and somebody's singing along to one of your songs. And that, to me, is the number one thing. So
You back on the road in the new year?
we will be back on the road in the new year, yes. East and west and everywhere. Smaller chunks this time.
Got it. This guy's a lot of fun to watch play, I gotta say. So if you get a chance to go see Devin Cuddy on the road somewhere around Ontario or Canada, do so. Devin, thanks a lot for coming in today. This was a pleasure.
Pleasure's all mine. Thank you, Steve.
Thank you.